Kia ora, ladies and gents, welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max, and as I said, thank you for coming to watch my channel. I enjoyed that game very much. The Black Ferns have defeated the Wallaroos in the Tauranga domain, and they did so at a venue where the rain was just going crazy, man. I first watched a game of women's rugby back in 2021 when the Chiefs Manawa played against the Blues, and so ever since then I've come to quite like women's rugby, and I find it just as entertaining as men's. So here's my review of the Black Ferns win. It was a very entertaining game where you really had to be on the edge of your seat because the rain just made you feel, oh my goodness, what are the knock-ons coming on next? And the players, I think, stepped up really well against this dodgy weather. I was also really impressed to see a very good crowd and a passionate haka too. In the first minute, Australia kicked off. The Black Ferns managed to keep the ball in the forwards just to settle into the game. Ruahei Demant, who's the new Black Ferns captain, then gave a brilliant cross kick to Ruby Tui, debuting at 15 at the age of 30, got on her for switching from sevens. And this begins all the attack. In the third minute, after 2 minutes of attack from the Black Ferns, Australia are penalised. Demant goes for the corner, and we saw quite a lot of lineouts in this match. It was a real staple of the game, and the maul gets taken out by Michaela Leonard of Australia, who wins the turnover. Possession does get exchanged quite a few times until Australia loses line-out possession, the Black Ferns 22. The Black Ferns do get some front foot ball though until Kelsey Taneti knocks on under advantage. In the 7th minute, the Black Ferns set for a scrum. Renee Himes passes the ball forward and out of the fields though. Australia get a line-out. Their line-out maul is ruled illegal, so the Black Ferns go for the corner and get their line-out. They've got a really tough time after the 9th minute, just getting some space between the line-outs. Alana Bremner chooses to eventually just pick and go after a few phases on her own, but she concedes the turnover. Yet again, another line-out. Australia get this one from 5 metres. They go calmly through the phases, and the experienced number 1, Liz Patu, goes over from very close to the line. Laurie Kramer, who's Australia's fullback, had an outstanding game off the tee, and as a tactical kicker as well, she sends over the first conversion to make the scoreline 7-0 for Australia, who really started with a hiss and a roar. The Wallaroos then get another line out inside the Black Ferns half just shortly after kickoff with a ruck penalty going in their favour. They do get an attack going, but this fails after a knock-on from Bridie O'Gorman. They do get the ball back in the scrum though and launch 2 minutes of phases up until Pomare kicks out on the full. That hurt Australia quite bad, I think. In the 21st minute, after winning yet another turnover, Australia managed to produce 3 minutes worth of phases, with the Black Ferns defence just really having to hold tight and just keep the Wallaroos out. Ardiana Talakai is subbed off for Australia due to injury, which is no good. She's replaced by Ashley Masters in jersey 16. Australia runs straight off the scrum, but they concede the turnover to Kaipo Olsen-Baker, who goes straight over the ball. The Black Ferns go for yet another corner, and Georgia Ponsonby, the number 2, who throws not ruled straight though, which was at a really bad time considering all the pressure the Black Ferns were under. She makes up for the line-out error and wins a turnover for herself though. Ruahei Demant runs an attack and gives Taneti a pretty awkward pass, and even though it's going backwards, the ref rules it forwards. Pretty annoying right there. In the 25th minute, Australia go for the scrum again, but concede another turnover to Olsen-Baker. The Black Ferns run a good 40 metres through Aisha Leti Ienga before the turnover is won by Australia. They do their usual thing, they take the line out. After plenty of phases, Australia just can't get on the board again, so after an advantage ends, they choose to take a 3. The penalty goal goes over through Laurie Kramer, and she converts the score to make Australia's winning margin 10-0. The Black Ferns are absolutely furious after the penalty goal, and they run pretty hard through Amy Rule, Ruby Tui, and Kelsey Tanetti. Kendra Cocksedge then takes a quick tap after Shannon Parry, the Australian captain, enters the breakdown from offside. Cocksedge sends over Aisha Leti Iinga to score in the corner, but as Leti Iinga dots down for the try, there's a bit of negligence from the ref, who does not give a red card to the tackler when there's a clear wrap around the neck. So frustrating to see. Cocksedge then misses the conversion from the sideline, so Australia remain in the lead by 10-5. Olsen Baker in the 35th minute then wins a third turnover. This sends the Black Ferns off on a run. They want to go wide, but they just seem to pass when it's not really necessary. Chelsea Semple loses the ball forward. The Black Ferns are able to regenerate their attack, but are still struggling for territory. Kendra Cocksedge, becoming the most capped ever Black Fern, uses her experience to really just take a gamble, and the kick gets very close to Australia's 22-metre line. The Australian lineout is then not straight. The kick has paid off. Australia demolish the Black Ferns scrum again though, so what do? They kick for the corner, but the Black Ferns get one final attack going. They do, however, lose possession, so Australia kick the ball out for half time. After the halftime chat through Wayne Smith, the Black Ferns' new head coach, they get out on attack immediately in the 41st minute, and they just patiently run through several phases. Wallaroos, though, does concede the turnover, but she, however, makes up for it very well by stealing the ball in the line-out of Australia. Demant then makes a kick that isn't quite on, though. Leti Iinga does knock on, trying to get the ball. 4 minutes later, Australia force the Black Ferns quite far back. Renee Holmes does manage the pressure very well, but her kick is charged down and Leti Iinga tries to regather it. The weather's terrible, so she was always going to knock on again, unfortunately, which is a real shame to see. By this point, Chelsea Semple comes off with a bit of an injury. Hazel Tubic replaces her, and I think having a second first five on the pitch playing 12 rather than 10 just really opened things up for our ladies from the Black Ferns. In the 46th minute, Australia knock on after about 3 phases in the Black Ferns 22. The replacement front row then comes on for each team. The Black Ferns really capitalise off Australia's mistake and get some powerful front foot ball over the try line, with Tania Kaluunivali dotting down under advantage. Just 3 minutes after she comes on from jersey number 18. The try is disallowed though due to a pre-latch. Frustrating. After the try is disallowed, the Black Ferns have to restart their attack. This works though. The reliable number 6, Alana Bremner, goes over in the corner. Cocksedge does miss the conversion after the 51st minute try, so the scoreline is still 10-all. Eliseva Bati Basanga gets caught napping quite badly from the ruck at halfback as well for Australia, and Wallaroos from lock runs through to make a clean break. Demant makes a very good kick, and then the rain returns. Not very good. God just could not stop crying through this match. I'm probably sure it's because Australia had been ahead on the scoreline for so long. In the 55th minute, the Black Ferns take a scrum after Australia's handling errors, and Kaipor Olsen Baker runs off the base of the scrum to score on debut. So I'm feeling pretty stoked that I was able to get her as a guest on my channel before that debut of hers. Speaking of this Q&A, Kelsey Tanetti, who I've mentioned before in this video, didn't really get much of a handle for the ball, but I think she still did do very well. The conversion from Cocksedge is missed for a third time, but the Black Ferns are ahead by 15-10. Australia, yep, they're yet to score in the second half. Australia do make a very smart kickoff, and it's well reads. Tanetti goes for a storming run down the wing instead of the centre, and Australia penalised at the ruck yet again. The Black Ferns take the scrum. Bati Basanga is replaced by Lane Morgan, who came on in jersey 21 to give some very good game management for Australia. In the 58th minute, the rain just gets even worse, but the Black Ferns get back to the Wallaroos 22 after some slick handling from Renee Holmes and Hazel Tubic. Emily Chancellor tries to win the breakdown penalty to save Australia's chances with a turnover, but she's off her feet and doesn't roll away. Australia do get penalised. The Black Ferns have to revert to the pick and go plays in the forwards as the raining is absolutely shocking. And Chancellor penalised again, so Kendra Cocksedge takes the 3 in the 60th minute to stretch the Black Ferns lead out to 18-10. The comeback is well and truly on, my man. And in the 63rd minute, they get back inside the Australian half yet again. They had so much possession in the second half compared to the first. It was all Australia's in the first half. Joanna Nganwu does lose the ball forward though, and Kendra Reynolds, who had an outstanding game from 7, comes off for Tafito Lafayette on debut, whereas Emily Chancellor comes on for Piper Duck, who is a very strong runner from jersey 20 for Australia. Australia's scrum was absolutely demolished in the 66th minute though, so very good work to number 17 for the Black Ferns, Angel Mulu. Australia gets going again in the 68th minute, thanks to some very, very good game management by Arabella McKenzie before Luca Connor is penalised on the ruck. Shannon Parry tells Laurie Kramer to take the 3, but it is missed, and the goal is hooked over to the right. Demant's 22-metre dropout isn't the flashiest though. Australia have to relaunch their attack. No good in the 71st minute. Ivania Wong takes quite a heavy hit from Kelsey Tanetti, and she's taken off injured, replaced by Cecilia Smith. Australia then get 5 straight minutes of running with the ball in hand, and they do get a scrum inside the Black Ferns half. It collapses yet again though. Tubic, being the game reader she is, she's going to kick the ball away, but Mahalia Murphy regathers the ball for Australia, pressures on for the Black Ferns. Australia though, yet again, demolished in the scrum in the 78th minute. The scrum was literally a game of 2 halves. And the Black Ferns head back into Australia's 22, and they keep the ball in the forwards to counter just the awful, terrible rain we've got going on. Tubic eventually puts up a high kick under advantage. Ruby Tui so close to scoring on her test debut at 15s. She just doesn't quite get there, but in the 80th minute, it's all good. It's full time, and the Black Ferns win their scrum with Kendra Cocksedge giving a very accurate pass to Aisha Leti Iyenga, who scores her double at the full-time whistle. Very good stuff there. The conversion is missed, but hey, it's all good. The final score, 23-10. It was a very entertaining game to watch, and for those of you who haven't watched women's rugby before, I want to tell you, do not be intimidated. Girls are indeed very good at rugby, and I enjoyed it very much. Thank you all for coming to watch this video, and well done to the Black Ferns for starting their new era on a very good note for the new head coach, Wayne Smith. If you're keen to make a bit of a donation to me, you can support me on Patreon or go to my PayPal tip jar. And if you want to see more content from me in the future, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't ever miss a new video. Hit a like, make a comment as well, and support me on Instagram. I've said everything I need to say. This was an awesome game. Cheers for watching, guys.